Good day, everyone. I am Francine Joyce Aguila, and I am the first reporter of Group 1. And today we will be talking about transportation as a system. First, I may ask, what does it take to keep a global society running, connecting billions of people across the world? Well, it all comes down to the power of transportation. Right from the start, speed and strength have been super important, whether it's for hunting, fighting wars, or even keeping big empires together. We've always been on the lookout for new ways to move using the power of nature to drive us forward. For example, we have horses, we even have carabaos for farming. Then we used wheels, and then we invented steam engines and even jet planes. Every time that we found something new, it just led us to the next big step forward. Transportation has become like our exoskeleton, helping us go beyond our natural abilities, traveling faster than sound, reaching further than the moon. Our cool inventions have given us a ton of power that we never thought were possible. Thanks to our machines, we can cut through solid rock. We can even go to the moon. We can dig under the ocean floors, and we can connect people all around the world. We can let different cultures mix and mingle. Being able to move around freely has also opened up our minds. Meeting new people and seeing new things has exposed us to fresh ideas and better understanding. And this is the story of how transportation completely reshaped our society from inside and out. How our engines and animals drove the rise of civilization, and how the inventions that keep humanity moving forward has made us what we are today. For this topics or for this reporting, we will be talking about different topics such as transportation and its definition, components and types of transportation system, the importance of transportation system, as well as examples of transportation systems from all around the world. But first, what is transportation? So transportation refers to the movement of people, goods, or information from one location to another, typically using various modes, infrastructures, and systems. It is the lifeblood of commerce, industry, and daily life, enabling access to resources, services, and opportunities. It can also be defined as the safe, efficient, reliable, and sustainable movement of persons and goods over time and space. So that is the definition of transportation, but it's a bit lengthy and it's a bit hard to digest. So to digest it better, let us break it down to bite-sized pieces. So I have put some texts involved here, and to digest it further, we will be using these words or defining these words further. First, people, of course, this is us. And then goods, this is what we need to live, food and other consumable goods. And then information. For information, we have the science and technology of sending messages over long distances by telegraph, radio phones, or whatever. Sometimes yung mga marites din considered as tagapagdala ng information. And of course, hindi naman sila makakapag-barangay to barangay without using tricycle, which is considered a mode of transportation. So yeah, that's one way to understand the word information when it comes to transportation. And then next we have modes or modality, and this will be discussed later on in this report. Next, we have infrastructure. Of course, in order for us to transport things, we need infrastructure depending on the modality that we will be utilizing. If we are using air, we need an airport. For water, we need docks. And for land transport, of course, we need roads and bridges. And then next, we have the word opportunity. Opportunity is bakit? Hindi naman lingid sa kaalaman natin na almost all of us, if not all, have parents, siblings, family members that are abroad or work abroad or are considered as overseas Filipino workers. And they always say that they are lucky to be given the opportunity to work abroad, opportunity to tend to their family's needs. Of course, anong sinasakyan nila papunta sa work or para makapunta sila sa bansang yon? Of course, they use airplanes. And yes, that is considered as transportation. The next, we have the word safe. I hope wala pa ditong nakaranas ng bad experience when it comes to our online orders, but sometimes malayong mga pinanggagalingan and hindi naman maiiwasan na ma-damage yung products. So ideally, transportation should include safeguarding of the goods being transported, as well as the people that are riding these vehicles or modes of transport. And then the next word, we have efficient. Nasabi na to dati. And connection with sustainability, we must not exhaust our resources for transportation for it to be effective and efficient. And then last word, we have reliable. So transportation must be consistent. We know or we must be assured that meron tayong sasakyan kahit gaano pa tayo kalaseng, whether we are going to the bar, parties, or whatever, meron pa sana tayong masasakyan na jeep at the late hour, or even may manunundo pa sana sa atin, sana all. But yeah, that's one example. Transportation must be reliable. So if you really look at the definition of transportation, it's more than just transporting goods and people. There are a lot of variables included and to be considered to categorize it as a good or bad transportation situation or example. Next, we have transportation systems. What are or what is a transportation system? A transportation system can be defined as the combination of elements and their interactions which reduce the demand for travel within a given area and the supply of transportation services to satisfy this demand. And at its core, the term transportation system refers to the equipment and even the logistics involved in moving passengers and goods. And it encompasses various modes of transports, including cars, buses, boats, aircrafts, and even space travel. Um, at this definition, if you read it out loud, it's a bit broad. It's very broad. So, I will be discussing a simpler version of its components, or shall I say, let me discuss its components for us to understand transportation systems better. So, for the components, first we have demand. So, demand is a derived function for the mobility of people, freight, and information for a variety of socioeconomic activities. So derived function, that's what we will be emphasizing in a demand. So in economic systems, what occurs in one sector impacts another. The demand for a good or service in one sector is derived from another. So for instance, ikaw, pupunta ka sa Pure Gold or any grocery store and you will be buying some goods, for example, isang delata, and kukunin mo siya sa shelf. Of course, may spot na maiiwan na empty sa shelf, and then you check out at the counters and go home, but that shelf will not remain empty. Of course, you will trigger or you will likely trigger the replacement of this product, generating demands for activities such as manufacturing, resource extraction, and even other related transport. That is different, or what is different about transportation is that it cannot exist alone, and a movement cannot be stored. An unsold product or yung delata na hindi nabenta, for example, can remain at the shelf of a store until it is bought. Often, kapag mag-expire na, of course, bibigyan ka ng discount incentives. But an unsold seat on a flight or even an unused cargo capacity on the same flight remains unsold. It cannot be brought back as additional capacity later. Of course, saan ka naman makakita ng eroplano na kapag last flight niya hindi nabenta yung ganitong number of seats, madadagdag siya sa capacity. Of course, hindi ganun yun. Kung ilan lang yung seats na available for this flight, halimbawa may natirang 10, it will remain unsold and hindi na siya madadagdag on the next flight. In this case kasi, an opportunity has already been missed since the transport offered has already exceeded or nalampasan niya na yung demand na meron tayo. So the derived demand for transportation is often very difficult to reconcile with an equivalent supply. And then for number two, or the second component that we have is nodes. Nodes are where movements are originating, ending, and transisting entry or exit points in a transport system. Nodes vary according to, to the geographical scale being considered. We have local and international nodes. For local nodes, we have, for example, a subway station. In MRT and LRT, we have different stations depending on where you want to go. For example, you just got off from the bus station ng Genesis. From Bataan, you go to Manila. And you ride Avenida, which kung saan bababa ka sa terminal lang ng bus, which conveniently is at Doroteo Jose Station. And you want to go to SM North. From D. Jose, you'll pass Bambang, Tayuman, Blumentritt, Arpapa, Fifth Avenue, I think. And then Monumento, if I remember correctly, and then Balintawak. And then finally, you will arrive and get off at Roosevelt, where SM North is just a few meters, few kilometer walk away from the station. So that's one example of a local node. And for global nodes or international nodes, we have ports and airport terminals. So this is why we have different IATA codes for different airports. For example, you will be traveling from Manila from NAIA, which has the IATA code for of MNL, and you will go to Singapore through Changi International or Singapore Changi Airport, which has the IATA code of SIN. So we have from MNL to SIN. So that's one example. Then another is from if you're from Kuala Lumpur and then you're going or you're headed home through Clark International Airport, you are going from KUL IATA code to CRK. Ayan. So that is what we have for nodes or the examples that we have for nodes. For the next component, we have networks. So networks are composed of a set of linkages expressing the connectivity between places and the capacity to handle passenger or cargo volumes. A transport network denotes either a permanent track, for example, roads, rails, and canals, or a scheduled service, for example, airlines, public transit, and trains. May mga oras yan. Even the jeepneys, inoorasan na natin ngayon sa terminal. It can be extended to cover various links between points along which mobility can occur. The relevance of a network is related to its connectivity. Basically, yung mga daan. There's this one principle or one law, which we can call the Metcalfe's law, and it states that the value of a network is proportional to the square of connected nodes. Hence, complex networks are exponentially more valuable than simple networks since they offer many options for connecting locations. Thus, economic development is commonly associated with network complexity. And to understand this concept better, I have an example or an illustration in the next slide. Here, in the first figure, we have a network of roads from point A, B, C, and D. And this figure has the least cost to use. Kasi, if you are from point A and you want to go to point B, it's easy. Kasi, punta ka lang A, may daan ka dito, papunta sa B. If you want to go from D, or you are from point C, gusto mong pumunta sa C, may daan ka dito. Ayan. So, it has the maximum connectivity. And then, on the second figure, we have the least cost to build. Because if you think about it, if X lang yung daan mo, you can still go from A to B. Kaya lang, from A, you're gonna ride this path, bababa ka sa intersection, and then from the intersection, sasakay ka na naman from B. Meron lang dalawang track, A to D, C to B. So from A, sasakay ka from A to D, pero bababa ka sa intersection, and then from C to B, sasakay ka para makapunta ka sa B. Parang ganon. Maraming baba. But to mix these two, we can come up with a hybrid model and come into a compromise, which is this figure, where it has the least cost to use and also the least cost to build. Kasi from A to C, ito na. And then from A to B, ito. B to D, ito. And then from D to C, ito na. You can also go from A to D. Kaya lang medyo mas masalimuot yung daan, but there's a way here. And yeah, same as C to B or B to C. Pag ganon. Or even here. Depende kung saan hindi traffic. So that's one example of how we can come up with a compromise in order to have the optimum road network that we can make use of. So another example that I remember for networks is that the meme from Facebook that we often see kung saan merong one straight path sa isang bundok and then kinukumpara siya sa zigzag na path dun sa same na bundok. Sabi, pwede naman pala na diretso lang yung daan. Bakit sinizigzag-zigzag pa? So that's the reason why. Kasi if you think about it, kapag isang diretso lang yung daan mo, ang magagamit mo lang is either side ng daan. Like, sobrang konti lang nung masasakop mo. Unlike when you do the zigzag path, mas marami kang masasakop. And thus, mas maraming lots ang pwedeng magamit or ma-utilize on either side of the road. And of course, mas marami ang pwedeng makinabang sa road na yun as compared to the straight path lang. Aside from it being mahirap umahon kapag isang diretso lang na paahon yung aakyatin mo as compared to parang gradual increase lang ng elevation kapag pa-zigzag. So that's another example for the road networks that we have. And then next, for the components, we have location. So location are nodes where demand is expressed as an origin, distance, or destination or point of transit. The level of spatial accumulation of socio-economic activities, this includes the production and the consumption, jointly defines demand and where this demand is taking place. As all activities are located somewhere, each location has its own characteristics, conferring a potential supply and or a demand for resources, products, services, or labors. A location will determine the nature, the origin, the destination, and the distance, and even the possibility of a movement to be realized. Look at it this way. For instance, a city like Manila provides employment in various sectors of activity. It adds to or in addition to consuming resources. Usually maraming nagsasabi na punta sila sa Maynila kasi mas maraming opportunities sa Maynila and thus magiging mas congested. And dun sa lugar na yon, mas maraming gagamit ng public transport, resulting to the different transportation systems or the different vehicles to be very congested and magsisiksikan, of course, rush hour, magiging traffic. So it's like that. It depends on the location. A rush at rush hour sa province, sometimes hindi naman ganun kalala as compared to Manila. Although malala sa province, wala pa siya sa kalingkingan ng lala ng sa Manila. And ayun yung lagi na parang naiisip or na-realize ko na what if we have an equal distribution of these opportunities along the Philippines and even the different services such as the different offices of the government meron sa lahat ng parte ng Philippines. And then maybe or just maybe mas magiging decentralized ang Philippines and hindi lang sa Manila yung puntahan ng mga tao just to grab these opportunities or just to enjoy these resources. So yeah, that's one thing to think about when it comes to um considering networks or developments when it comes to transportation. All right. And then for the next component, what we have here are flows or the amount of traffic over a network, which is composed of nodes and linkages. This is jointly a function of the demand and the capacity of the linkages that support them. Basically, ito lang yung magiging traffic sa isang daan kung saan dumadaan yung mga vehicles na meron tayo for transportation. Flows are mainly the subject to friction of space, with distance being the most significant impedance factor. Of course, mas malayo, mas marami kang pwedeng madaanan na areas na traffic. So yeah, basically flows are just the amount of traffic or kung ilan yung dumadaan doon sa certain road na yon. And then next, what we have is infrastructures or the conveyances such as roads and terminals expressing the physical reality of a network and are designed to handle the demand with specific volume and frequency characteristics. Facilities enabling access to a network are jointly characterized by their centrality and the linkages that radiate from them. The efficiency and capacity of transport modes and terminals has a different impact on transportation costs. Poor infrastructures imply higher transportation costs, delays, and negative economic consequences. Of course, di na tayo lalayo. The Ninoy Aquino International Airport, or NAIA, for the longest time has been ranked among the worst and most stressful airports in the world, with travelers complaining of long queues, numerous security checks, lack of seats, delayed flights, and delayed luggage release, among other things. And the state of our airport and the conduct of our people are among the things that leave a lasting impression on foreign visitors. And it is very critical that we get our act together, especially as we aim to change the reputation of NAIA from being one of the worst to being one of the best in the world. Of course, kung ikaw man may bad experience ka sa simula pa lang ng travel mo, since of course diyan ka magla-land, diyan magsisimula yung experience mo in a certain country. Babalik ka pa ba kung may ganun ka ng experience? Of course, matatakot ka na. And thus resulting to different negative economic consequences. More developed transport systems tend to have lower transport costs since they are more reliable and they can handle more movement. And again, going back to the different or I mean the earlier definition of a transport system, we can now easily understand this diagram that we have here. Locations, spatially expressing demand, flows between them, and infrastructures designed to handle and link these flows. All the components of a transport system are designed to facilitate the movement of passengers, freight, and information either as separate or joint components. So to further understand this diagram, um, for example, there are cities or cities are locations with a high level of accumulation and concentration of economic activities, just like what I said earlier in the case of Manila, wherein there are different employment opportunities and even government offices, and our complex spatial structures that are supported by transport systems. The most important transport problems are often related to urban areas where transport systems, for a variety of reasons or a lot of different reasons, cannot satisfy the numerous requirements of urban mobility. Pwedeng kulang yung jeeps, very timely since today there are different scheduled transport hikes that are happening in Manila. That's why other universities resulting to suspending classes since the students doesn't have any mode of transport since jeepney drivers refusing to na magpasada since they are doing this as a hike nga huelga, I think, um for their kita to be higher or whatever. I am not really that knowledgeable, but we all know that these situations are very palasak or very, it's always happening here in the Philippines since um nakakaawa din yung mga jeepney drivers natin because of the different situations they are in, mataas yung gas, diesel or whatever they are using, and then the fare is relatively low. But yeah, that's a topic for another day. And yeah, to continue, urban productivity is highly dependent on the efficiency of its transport system to move labor, to move students, consumers, and freight between multiple origins and destinations. Many public transit systems, specifically infrastructure or parts of them, are either over or underused. During peak hours, sobrang daming tao. Overcrowdedness. It creates discomforts for users since in the situation of the rush hour, it creates very slow traffic flow and thus having them reach their destinations longer than anticipated. So that's one example of how the different components are interconnected in a transportation systems. And from this, you can see how in a single situation, talagang lahat sila present and lahat sila may role sa experience nating mga consumers. And to understand transportation systems further, let me pass the virtual floor to my groupmate Joshua Angela Kubakub to continue our report.
Okay, so thank you, Francine. So let's move to next topic. So we're gonna talk about the types of transportation system. So there are four main types of transportation system: the roadways, railways, waterways, and airways. So isa-isahin natin sila. So unahin natin yung roadways, which is the common mode of transport. So there are two types of roadways, which are metalled roads and unmetalled roads, which are also known as Hoka roads and Kutya roads. So yung Hoka roads, ito yung mga roads na metal, yung mga ginagamitan natin ng high cost and high maintenance. And yung mga kutya roads naman, ito yung mga gawa lang sa earthly materials, no? So madali siyang i-maintain and low cost din yung pagbibuild sa kanya. So sabi, common, the most common. Kasi alam naman natin yung mga roadways from the word itself, ito yung mga dinadaanan natin like sidewalks, highways, yung mga ganun. So araw-araw din sila nagagamit, no? Basta lumabas tayo ng bahay, may mga roadways na tayo makikita. So next is the railways. So ito yung mga kailangan ng rail ng mga tren, ganun. So it is used to move people and bulky goods. So syempre, kagaya ng nakikita natin, pwede siyang gawin pampasahero, pwede rin naman nalagyan na ng mga pagkain at kung ano naman tinatransport natin. So they cover long distances quickly and economically. So dahil nga nakalinya siya, so mahabang distance yung natatravel niya. Kaso ang disadvantage naman nito is from station to station lang. So the Indian Railway Network is one of the largest in Asia. So next is the waterways. So there are two types then, inland waterways and sea routes. It is used to move people and bulky goods over a long distance. So ito yung mga dumadaan sa tubig. Okay, so niya. So ito yung mga barko, ganun. So next is the airways. So the most expensive means of transport that is used to reach distant areas in a short period of time. So kung gusto natin mabilis at gusto natin travel sa malayo at ayaw natin ng waterways kasi nga limited lang dahil nga sa mga dumadaan sa seas, sa oceans. Airways kasi sa papawid siya. So pwede ka mag-travel country to country, kaya lang ang problema, expensive. So Kagaya naman sa mga names nila, madali lang silang tandaan, yung apat na transportation system natin. So, next is the other types of transportation system. So, sa ibang sources, apat lang talaga yung transportation system natin or yung types natin. So, kinonsider ko na rin tong other types. Although, mostly naman sa kanila is nakapaloob lang din dun sa four main types. So, dahil nga included siya sa ibang sources, so sama na rin natin siya ngayon. So, una is the public transit. So, public transit, ito yung ginagamit ng um, ano natin, ng masa, like ng mga bus, jeeps. So, ayun, minsan pumapasok din siya, di ba, sa ano, so, mapasok siya sa roadways, di ba? Kasi dumadaan sila sa mga roads, sa mga highways. Pipeline transportation. Considered transportation din pala yung pagta-travel ng oils natin. So, yung mga dumadaan sa pipes, no, hindi lang pala people ang gumagamit ng transportation system natin. So, pwede itong ipasok, di ba, sa waterways. Pero may ibang type siya sa ibang sources. So next is the electric scooters and micromobility. So ito yung mga scooters na nakikita natin ng mga modernized na, nag-recharge. So, kagaya uli ng sabi ko, pumapasok siya sa roadways and like ng susunod, yung cycling and pedestrian system. So, alam natin yung mga bike, pedestrian, yung paglalakad natin, yung kasama sa transportation system. Space transportation, no, kapag nag-explore tayo sa moon, ganun. So, ayun, pwede rin siya sa airways siguro. So, ayun, emerging technologies yung mga bago nating mga technologies na ginagamit sa transportation. So, the next topic natin is the importance of transportation. So, ano nga ba ang kahalagahan nito sa atin? So, una is the economic development. So, transportation has become a crucial element of economic growth as it can transport resources easily, enabling societies to prosper and grow at a good rate. There is now better accessibility to investors for new as well as existing business entities. It is easy to see the emergence of markets, schools, colleges, and other facilities that have been a sign of increased economic growth in a place. So, kapag may transportation sa atin, so napakadali ng, ano, diba, intindihin. Natatravel natin yung goods, mga services, natin, nakakapag-import-export tayo which can help in our economic empowerment. So, kapag nag-transfer tayo ng resources, nagkakaroon ng income. Kapag nagkaroon tayo ng income, syempre, gumaganda yung ekonomiya natin. So, better accessibility to investors. Syempre, kapag magandang transportation system, maraming nag-i-invest, maraming pupunta, na dayuhan, na mag-i-invest ng business. So, mag-emerge din yung iba't iba nating mga institutions or iba't iba nating like markets, mga schools, madali tayong nakakapasok sa kanya-kanya nating eskwelahan, kanya-kanyang trabaho. So, tumataas yung productivity ng isang lugar. So, next is the social development. So, new lands have been discovered which are now utilized to gain optimal benefits. Quality links of transportation have ensured connectivity that has resulted in social inclusion and a better lifestyle. There has been a diffusion of population because it is not necessary to live in a place where the resources are maximum in number. Instead, due to easy distribution facilities, people can live anywhere and purchase the same resources accordingly. So, para madaling intindihin, sa social development, meron tayong connectivity sa isa't isa. Dahil nga nakakapag-travel tayo from one place to another, napupuntahan natin yung iba't ibang lugar, iba't ibang tao, nakakapag-interact tayo sa isa't isa. So sabi nga, new lands have been discovered. So di ba sa transportation nakilala or na-discover ni Magellan ng Pilipinas? So dahil sa waterways. So ayun, nakaka-discover tayo ng mga bagong lugar, nakakamit ng mga bagong tao, at doon nabubuo yung ating social development sa bawat communities natin. Lastly is the environmental benefits. Compared with driving alone, taking public transportation reduces CO2 emissions by 45%, decreasing pollutants in the atmosphere and improving air quality. Having transportation systems can reduce the use of harmful chemicals, antifreeze, and other liquids, leading to improved air quality in the community for greater health benefits for the people who live there. So, ang environmental benefits na nakapulog din dito yung health benefits natin. Dahil kapag maganda yung environment, maganda yung health, maganda ang air pollution, maganda ang air environment natin, walang air pollution, mas maganda yung um, cardiovascular systems natin. So, wag kayong malilito kasi sasabihin ng iba, di ba ang transportation ang nagbibigay ng negative effects sa ating environment? Yes, true yan. Dahil sa transportation, nakakapag-emit tayo ng mga CO2s, nagbaburn tayo ng fossil fuels. Pero in this topic, we're talking about the transportation system. So kapag transportation system, di ba, sabi natin, ito yung nagkakaroon na tayo ng systematic or organized na kung saan nababawasan natin yung traffic congestion na nakakapag-solve tayo ng mga problems natin related to transportation. So ayun, dahil nga ayun sabi sa definition, hindi tayo nagda-drive alone or hindi tayo gumagamit ng mga private vehicles. Kapag lahat tayo nag-public transport, no, kapag lahat na-encourage natin gumamit nun, ang laki ng mababawas natin sa CO2 emissions na pino-produce ng transportation. So automatic 45% reduction agad. So nakikita natin halos kalahati. So ayun, kung sa Pilipinas, sa example, kung meron lang tayong magandang transportation system natin, wala tayong traffic congestion, and hindi katulad nung Manila ngayon na kapag umaga or hapon, nakikita natin parang foggy or basta ang ano siya, ibang-iba siya dun sa probinsya. Makikita mo talaga yung air pollution. So ayun. Environmental benefits ng transportation environmental benefits ng transportation system uli is nakaka-reduce tayo ng CO2 dahil nga nababawasan natin yung mga private vehicles at nakakapag-encourage tayo ng public transportation. So, next topic or yung last topic na naka-assign sa akin is the examples of transportation system around the world. So, tingnan natin yung iba't ibang transportation system sa iba't ibang bansa. Yung mga example nun, tingnan natin kung ano ba yung advantages niya, disadvantages niya sa isa't isa. Unahin na natin ang New York. Sa New York City, no, sabi natin, public transit system. So, ang example natin dito is New York City Subway. So, subway, dumadaan sa ilalim. So, isa siyang kind of train, no, pumapasok siya sa railways. So, nakikita niyo naman sa picture, di ba? So, tingnan natin kung ano yung mga advantage and disadvantage niya. Una, pros, efficient for densely populated area. Siyempre, kapag maraming tao, hindi nakakayanin siya ng roadways lang. So, kailangan na natin yan. So, ang New York City Subway, no, napakaganda niya kapag rush hour or napakaganda niya dahil alam natin yung New York City, napakaraming tao diyan. So, nakakatulong din siya sa transportation system. It reduces congestion and pollution. Ayun nga, nababawasan yung gumagamit ng vehicles, yung mga nasa roads, nababawasan, subways. So, nababawasan yung traffic congestion and pollution natin. So, next is the cost-effective for commuters. So, syempre, mas mura to. So, tingnan naman natin yung disadvantages niya o yung mga cons niya. So, it is susceptible to delays and breakdown. Siyempre, hindi naman yan perfect, nasisira din. So, ayun, minsan nagkakaroon ng breakdowns, no? Nagkakaroon ng delays, na-agrabya yung mga sakay niya, na sa mga kanya-kanyang pupuntahan. Next, limited coverage in some areas. So, kagaya ng sabi ko kanina, di ba, sa railways, station to station lang siya. Hindi mo naman siya pwedeng, pupunta ka sa isang bakery, papupuntahin mo siya ng bakery talaga. Hindi, bababa ka dun sa malapit na station, malapit dun. And kailangan mo pa gumamit ng ibang transportation systems such as walking or taxis, mga ganun. Can be overcrowded during peak hours. So, ayun nga, dahil maganda siya sa highly or densely populated areas, pero syempre, hindi maiwasan yung siksikan kapag rush hours or nagsasabay-sabay yung labas at pasok ng mga tao. Next is the personal automobiles or ang example natin dito is the private car ownership. So, walang specific na bansang sinabi kasi nga common naman or understandable naman na lahat ng bansa ay gumagamit ng private car ownership. Ano yung mga advantages and disadvantages niya? So, una, it provides flexibility and convenience. So, kung napaka-convenient niya, di ba? Kapag may sarili kang sasakyan, pwede kang pumunta, mag-stop kung saan mo gusto pumunta, di ba? Makapunta ka sa beach, tapos after nun, pwede kang bumili ng kailangan mo. Napaka-flexible niya. It allows for door-to-door travel. So, kung iba't iba nga yung dapat mong puntahan, so, makapunta ka. Napaka-convenient niya talaga. So, ideal for rural and suburban areas. So, ideal siya dun, syempre, dun sa konti lang din yung gumagamit ng private car ownership. Kasi kapag nagsama-sama kayo, like sa urban areas, mahirap dahil nga magkakaroon ng traffic congestion. At doon napapasok yung mga cons natin, mga disadvantages niya. Ayun nga, yung una, traffic congestion and air pollution. Habang dumadami yung gumagamit ng private cars, syempre, nahihirapan dumalo yung traffic at lalong dumadami yung nag-release ng CO2 or yung mga usok natin. Next is the high maintenance and fuel cost. So, ang mahal na ng gasolina ngayon, di ba? So, ang nauubos na rin yung fossil fuels natin. So, high maintenance, ang hirap din yung maintain. So, kung meron ditong mga may-ari or may mga sasakyan, alam niyo naman, di ba? na ang mahal niya kapag nasira, kapag papalinis, gano'n. Ang mahal niya i-maintain. Next is the parking issues in urban areas. So, maraming nakaka-relate din dito, 'di ba? Kasi lalo kapag pumunta tayo ng mga mall, ta's ang daming tao, lalo ngayon magbe-bare months. Example, mamamasko tuloy, mamimili ka ta's malapit na yung Pasko. Ang hirap maghanap ng parking space, 'di ba? Kasi nga ang dami ding gumagamit ng private cars. So, ayun yung disadvantages niya. Next are the bicycles or ang example natin dito is the bike sharing program of Copenhagen. So, napakaganda ng naisip nila dito na may bike sharing program sila. Tingnan natin yung mga advantages. So, kung di niyo pala alam, ang Copenhagen ay sa Denmark. So, tingnan natin yung mga advantages and disadvantages niya. So, una, it is environmentally friendly and healthy. Ang healthy niya kasi nakakapag-exercise tayo. At the same time, nababawasan natin yung paggamit ng fossil fuels. It reduces traffic congestion. Napakaliit lang naman ng space na nire-require ng mga bikes. So kaya nga 'di ba, dapat may-require tayo ng bike lanes sa kada ano natin para mag-give sa kanila. Pero kung mas dadami ang gagamit ng bike, mababawasan talaga yung traffic congestion natin kasi 'di ba, ang ano niya lang, ang liit lang ng space niya. It has low operating cost. So ayun, oo, hindi siya tulad ng like mga private cars, ang mura niya talaga. Once na nakabili ka na ng bike or kagaya nung sa Copenhagen pala, may bike sharing program sila, so hindi mo na kailangang gumastos pa. So next is the disadvantages. So first is the limited range for longer distance. So limited range, hindi mo naman pwedeng i-bike na napakalayo, 'di ba? Hindi mo pwedeng or pwede naman, kaya lang nakakapagod, nakaka-exhaust siya. So talagang limited range lang 'no, malalapit na distances lang. So next is it is vulnerable to weather condition. So siyempre kapag sobrang init, ang hirap mag-bike. Kapag sobrang hindi naman sobrang lamig, kapag umuulan at bumabagyo, hindi ka rin makakapag-bike. So napaka-vulnerable niya talaga depending on the weather condition. And lastly, it has safety concerns in some areas. So siyempre takot aksidente, 'pag nabunggo, napakalaki ng risk sa'tin nun. So may dadagdag pa ako dito. So, kagaya nga limited range tapos hindi na natin mapapasok yung mga goods natin. Hindi tayo makakapag-travel ng goods kasi ang liit lang nga ng space niya. So, hindi naman tayo puwedeng halimbawa namili ka ng pumunta kang mall, namili ka ng cabinet, hindi ka naman puwede ilagay yung cabinet sa bike, 'di ba? So, ayun yung disadvantages niya. Next is the high-speed rail. So, example is Japan's Shinkansen. So, ang ganda, 'di ba? Nakikita niyo naman sa picture like 'pag tiningnan mo siya parang ang advance niya na. So, kilala naman din Japan diyan, sa mga technologies. Diyan sila magaling. Tingnan natin yung mga pros and cons nila. So, una, it is fast and efficient intercity travel. So, sabi nga high-speed rail, 'di ba? So, mabilis siya, efficient dahil nga nakakapunta siya from one place to another using the least amount of resources and the least amount of time. So, ayun, next is it reduces congestion and greenhouse gas emission. So, dahil nga para din siyang public transit, 'no, mababawasan talaga yung ano natin, mga gumagamit ng mga private cars, mababawasan yung traffic congestion and the greenhouse emission. Laging connected 'yan. Kapag bumababa yung traffic congestion natin, bumababa din yung greenhouse gas emissions natin. Kasi nga, bumababa yung number of vehicles natin. It is comfortable and reliable. Sa Japan's Shinkansen 'no, sa kanila, komportable. Makikita naman natin sa mga movies, minsan nire-represent siya sa anime, 'no? Napaka-komportable lang, parang ang sarap niya sumakay dun, parang gusto mo rin ma-experience kapag pumunta kang Japan. Next is disadvantage naman tayo. Ang problema lang, it has high construction cost. So siyempre, kailangan talaga mag-invest. Kailangan gumastos ng malaking pera, kailangan natin talagang, gumamit ng pondo. So ayun lang yung problema niya 'no. Pero ang rate of return naman nun malaki kasi nga, ang ganda niya, ang komportable niya. It has limited coverage in some regions. So, kagaya ng mga railways natin, from station to station lang. The ticket prices can be expensive. So, ayun, ang Japan Shinkansen pala 'no, mahal pala yung ticket prices niya. Pero feeling ko naman sulit siya kasi mabilis. Like, minsan talaga oras hinahabol natin, 'di ba? Next, air travel. Ang example natin is Dubai International Airport, which is considered as the most busy or the busiest international airport in the world. So, Tingnan natin yung mga advantages and disadvantages. So una, it has rapid long distance travel. Siyempre, connected siya sa pangalawa, tingnan mo. Connect distant locations globally. So, ang advantages niya talaga, globally, nakakapunta tayo from one country to another. So, napaka-ano niya, kung siyempre hindi ka naman magbabike ng from country to country, siyempre mas pipiliin mo yung mga, airways natin. It stimulates tourism and trade. So, 'tong Dubai International Airport, so isa siya sa key kaya tumataas yung turismo sa iba't ibang parte ng lugar natin. Siyempre, ang unang makikinabang nun sa kanila kasi parang nagiging sila yung sentro, eh. Parang sa kanila nanggagaling, sa kanila din pumupunta. So, maganda 'to sa turismo nila and turismo ng mga bansang napupuntahan nung mga airplanes na included sa airport nila. Next is the disadvantages. So una is high greenhouse gas emissions. Ayun lang yung problema sa kanya 'no, mataas yung greenhouse gas emissions niya. Siguro magkakaroon tayo ng mga studies 'no, baka masolusyonan naman 'to. Next is the security and congestion of airports. So mahirap ang security sa airports 'di ba? Ang hirap niya i-maintain, ang hirap niya bantayan. Kasi nga, dito pumapasok at lumalabas yung iba't ibang tao eh, like foreigners and the locals. So it has delays and potential for flight cancellations. So pwedeng ngang ma-cancel yung flight. So maraming naiinis dito kasi example, may pupunta ang event, tapos bigla maka-cancel yung flight due to weather conditions or other inconvenience. So ayun, nakaka-stress siya talaga kapag nangyari yun, yung mga delays na yun. Next natin is yung maritime shipping. Ang example natin dito is the port of Shanghai sa China. So, okay, nakita sa picture ng port. So, nandito na yung mga waterways natin, yung mga barko, ganun. Mga cargo ships. Cargo ships pala. So, advantages. It is cost-effective for transporting goods globally. So, unlike dun sa airways, no, mas maganda itong ipang-transport ng goods. Kasi, mas mababa yung cost niya. Next, it has low carbon emission per unit of cargo. So, ayun nga, kung goods lang naman or mga cargos ang ita-travel natin, mas maganda na 'to na mga ports ang gamitin natin. Kasi nga, ayun, mas mababa din yung mas mababa na tas low, mas mababa yung carbon emission niya kumpara nga dun sa mga airports natin. So, it is vital for international trade. So, dito nagmumula yung palitan ng produkto sa iba't ibang bansa. So, kilala natin yung Shanghai or yung China, magaling sila mag-export ng mga products nila, di ba, sa iba't ibang bansa. Ano yung mga disadvantages or cons? Slow transit times for certain routes. So, minsan talaga mabagal or matagal ito. Depende nga sa dinadaanan mo. It has environmental impact from fuel emissions. So, napapansin niyo naman sa balita, di ba? Madalas ito yung mga nagkakaroon ng leakage, mga oil leakage. So, nagkakaroon siya ng environmental impact. Next is the list of accidents and oil spills. Ay, ito na pala yun, yung mga oil spills natin, no? Madalas na accidents. So, yung kanina, related siya sa fuel emissions, so sa pag-burn ng ng, ano natin, mga fossil fuels. Sabi kanina sa advantages niya, di ba, it has low carbon emissions per unit cargo compared to airports. Pero ang disadvantage niya, syempre, may fuel emission pa rin naman siya. Next system is the walking. Ang example natin is pedestrian-friendly cities like Amsterdam. Amsterdam sa Netherlands din, guys. So, tingnan niyo sa picture, no, hindi siya tulad sa Pilipinas. Sa Pilipinas kasi naglalakad ka maya-maya, may katabi ka ng sasakyan. No? Eto kasi, ang Amsterdam, nagkakaroon sila ng mga daan na talagang for walking lang. Kaya nakakatuwa, ang sarap paglakad dun. Advantages, healthy and environmentally friendly. Siyempre, healthy, nakapag-exercise tayo through walking and nababawasan natin yung paggamit ng mga vehicles natin. It reduces congestion in urban areas, kaya sabi kanina, nababawasan yung gamit ng mga transportation vehicles. It enhances the quality of public spaces. So, syempre, dahil nga mawalang pollution, dahil walang traffic congestion, napakaganda ng quality ng mga spaces natin. Next is the disadvantage. So, ano na yung mga disadvantage? Una, limited range for longer trips. Hindi ka pwede maglakad ng malayo from cities to cities or from country to country. Mamamatay ka, no? Ang hirap nun. Next, it is not feasible for all weather conditions. Parang biking, di ba? Um, hindi ka naman pwedeng maglakad-lakad ng bumabagyo. Depende sa'yo, di ba? Hindi siya, lalo, pag masyadong mainit din, hindi rin pwede. It has lack of safety infrastructure in some places. So, hindi naman talaga natin maiiwasan din yung safety problems natin, 'no, sa kahit anong transportation. Minsan kahit yung walking, meron siya safety ano. Next is the electric scooters or the electric scooter sharing services. So, eto ini-implement na rin naman siya sa iba't ibang bansa. So, tingnan natin kung ano yung mga advantage and disadvantage. So, this is the last pala na examples natin. So, una, it is affordable and convenient for short trips. Affordable siya kasi sina-charge lang siya, eh. Convenient for short trip lang. Convenient nga kasi nga 'di ba kaya mo siyang dalhin sa some places to another place. Maliit lang din yung space na niya, na-occupy niya. Kaya lang for short trip nga lang yun. Next is it reduces the needs for personal car trip. So, 'di mo na kailangan ng cars, mga kotse, 'no, puwede na yung scooter. Next, it has low environmental impact dahil nga recharge lang siya, wala siyang usok. Hindi siya naka-contribute sa air pollution. Next is the disadvantages. It has safety concerns and accidents. So, kagaya ng biking and walking, 'no, mataas ang risk for accidents dito. Next is the cluttered sidewalks in some cities. So, mahirap din siya idaan, 'di ba? Like, ang hirap niya idaan sa iba, kailangan talaga smooth yung surface, gano'n. Maintenance issues for scooter plates. So, dahil electric siya, mahirap din siya i-maintain. So, that concludes my part of the report. So, the next topic will be discussed by Bon Lawrence Enriquez.
So hello, I'm Bondarens Enriquez, and I will I will report the Philippine transportation system. Here's the outline. History of the Philippine transportation system, new mode of transportation, challenges for the Philippine transportation system, government and private sector initiative to improve the Philippine transportation system. First, history of the Philippine transportation system. Balangay. Balangay, an indigenous small wooden boat used to carry cargo around and in the conduct of trade, become the world origin of the smallest unit of the government called barangay. Varieties similar are Paraw, Karaw, and Binta. Dito, nagsimula itong balangay sa pagtitrade ng mga indigenous natin na sa pagtitrade nila ng mga kalakal nila at na-discover ito noong Spanish era nung wala pa sila nung kadarating pa lang na nakita nila itong balangay na ito. At sabi nga dito, galing ito sa word na barangay na yun nga. Then next, Acapulco Galleon Trade. Dito naman, yung Galleon Trade na to ay nagsimula to noong 1565 at natapos noong 1815. Nagsimula to noong Spanish era rin, and dito ang pagtitrade naman dito ay dalawang bansa from Mexico to Manila at Manila to Mexico lang. Yung Manila to Mexico, 500,000 pesos lang yung cargo nun. And nasa 120 days yung biyahe nila. At kapag naman sa Mexico to Manila, 250 plus lang yata. And 98 days, I think, ganun lang. And yun, hindi ganun kabilis ang pagbabiyahe nila at sobrang tagal din. Sabi dito, largest and richest merchant ship. And yun nga, napag-aralan din natin to sa Lives and Works of Rizal, kung matatandaan nyo. And yun, Acapulco Galleon Trade ang tawag sa kanila. Minsan tinatawag din itong Manila Galleon Trades. And next, the Kalesa. In early Spanish occupation, it was introduced in the Philippines. Sa atin, bilang Pilipino, familiar sa atin ito at nakikita pa rin natin siya lalo na doon sa Manila. And yun nga, kaso hindi nakaramihan pero ginagamit pa rin at nagagamit pa rin. At yun nga, sabi dito, kutsero daw ang tawag sa driver ng Kalesa regarding as the king of the road. Tinatawag din siya king of the road dati pero ngayon iba na at tatalakayin natin yun sa susunod pa. The next used by rich Filipinas and Spanish noong Spanish era nga, and yun nga makikita yung pagiging mayaman nila kapag meron sila mga kalesa dati. And yun, parang ngayon yung mga sports car, yung mga ganun, yung mga luxury car, yan parang ganun sa kanila dati yan. The next, Pasig ferry boat and steamship. As early as 40th century, it was the main transport system for people living in Manila. So yun nga, dahil sa wala pa naman halos na expressway or mga highway, yung may mga toll gate, ang ginagamit talaga sa is yung ferry boat at kilalang-kilala ito dati. Pero ngayon halos hindi na rin. Pero meron pa rin. Sa Maribeles, meron ito from Maribeles to Pasig, meron tayo nun na rutang gano'n. Then sabi dito, international shipping from Manila to Hong Kong was carried weekly for the Manila-Barcelona trip. So yun nga, yung nag-aano rin sila ng from Hong Kong to Manila. And yun, kung makikita niyo naman medyo malaki siya pero hindi kalakihan talaga katulad ng mga barkong nauuso ngayon like yung Roro nga. Then next, the first lighthouse was built in 1846 at the mouth of Pasig River. Sa Pasig talaga siya kilala at doon talaga siya nagsimula din. Then next, Tranvia. Kung makikita niyo 'to, hindi tayo pamilyar or hindi natin talaga naabutan ito lalo na 1888 din talaga ito nagsimula sa Malabon. And then, sabi dito, Malabon to Manila line was the first lines to open in public. So sa Malabon nga sila nagsimula and it was run by German-made steam locomotives with 8 coaches. While the yan, sabi dito 9 passenger each din, while the other 4 lines were horse-drawn omnibuses for 12-seated and 8 standing passengers. So yun nga, ang kinagandahan lang nito is maganda ito for dati, maganda ito talaga. Kung malaki rin yung daan at kung hindi heavy traffic. Kaso ngayon sa Manila and dito sa Bataan talaga ay sa Pilipinas talaga, kilala yung bansa natin na matraffic at hindi gaano kalakihan ng mga daan. Tsaka prone kasi rin tayo sa flood kaya hindi rin siya bagay kasi electric ano to eh. Basta sa electric siya. Sabi nga dito, it was early 20th century Philippine Commission. The makers from America approved the takeover of Manila Electric Railroad. So, ginagamit siya ng electricity. And hindi siya maganda kapag kapag lagi tayong may flooding. And yun, kinuha rin yung idea ng Tranvia ng mga LRT, yung mga rail, light rail, yun, yung mga rail transit natin yung dahil dito. Pero ang kinaibahan lang nila, yun nga naka-elevate. So, yun. Ito naman, railway, the single large infrastructure project during Spanish period was the 195-kilometer Pero Carril de Manila Railway built in 1887 to 1892. So halos magkaano lang sila nung Tranvia, magkasabay. Nauna na lang konti itong railway. And dito, hindi katulad ng Tranvia, ang railway meron pa rin tayo hanggang ngayon. Pero hindi na siya halos ginagamit din kasi meron na tayong mas mabilis na mga sasakyan, may mga expressway, may mga buses, mga ganun na mas convenient sa atin, hindi katulad dito. Pero okay pa rin siya kung i-upgrade talaga. Sabi din dito, Manila Railroad Company became the Philippine National Railway on June 20, 1964. It was extended up to Legazpi, Albay in the south and to San Fernando, La Union in the north with the total length of 1,100 km. So ina-extend pa. Kung na-extend pa lalo to or na-extend pa at napabilis, baka maganda talaga ito lalo katulad ng mga nasa ibang bansa. Like yung mga bullet train din yung gano'n. Kung napaayos lang talaga yung atin. Maganda ito. The next, jeepney. So, ito kilalang-kilala natin. And ito ang mga nila kung saan nanggaling ang jeepney. Saan nga ba? With all the ill effects of war comes one beneficial fruit, the invention of jeepney. So dahil nga sa war, galing tayo sa war din dito eh. Kaya nagsimula ito noong World War II. And yung World War I, minor lang pa rin World War II talaga. And sabi dito, originally made in the United States, they were sold for about 50 USD each lang. Ano lang nun, napakamura. And sa mga Pilipino, dahil mautak tayo, and ginawa natin itong pampasahero. Kaya hinabaan, kinustomize natin ito. At ayun, naging tatak natin ito dahil sa atin lang makikita yung jeepney. And yun, katulad ng sinabi ko, yung Kalesa, yung King of the Road dati, ngayon ito na yung King of the Road na tinatawag. And yun, sabi din dito, 1953, first public transport of jeepney took districts of Manila. So sa Manila lang dati, pero ngayon halos buong bansa na meron na talagang jeepney na ginagamit. Next, taxi. Katulad ng jeepney, may taxi rin tayo, lalo na sa Manila rin. And yan sa Manila, sobrang dami nito, merong pang kulay yellow din ito eh. Pero yun nga, Enrique Montserrat E. Calvo founded the first taxi in the Philippines in 1930. Then the first cab was French Citron. 1950s, a taxi rate was 15 centavos flag down and 5 centavos per half kilometer. Dati medyo mura lang yung pamasahe dito sa taxi pero ngayon yung may kaya lang din talaga yung nagta-taxi or din nga. And dito, kaya rin naman syempre nagmahal dahil sa pagtaas din talaga ng mga bilihin at ng gas na ginagamit natin. And syempre yan, naka-aircon din kaya mas comfortable kaysa sa jeep. So next, airline. So dito, airline, 1911, airplane was introduced for the first time in the Philippines. So dito, yung gobyerno natin, marami na rin talagang pinatayo ng mga airport na nag-ooperate para yung mga OFW natin or yung mga gusto mag-travel or yung mga cargo na mga pinapadala rin ng mga OFW natin ay pinapasakay dito or pinapadala sa atin. And yan, sabi dito, 1933, Iloilo Negros Air was flying domestic routes. Then November 12, 1935, the Congress of the Philippines granted a franchise to Philippine Aerial Taxi Company Incorporated. Yung Philippine Aerial Taxi Company na yan, tinatawag na rin siya ngayon na PAL or Philippine Airlines. Ngayon meron na rin tayong Cebu Pacific din na nag-ooperate na rin. Then next, meron tayong first flight took place on March 15, 1941, so matagal na rin, and resumed operation on February 15, 1946. And yan, matagal na tayong nagkaroon yan, pero ngayon mas dahil Pilipinas tumataas na rin ang kalagayan, kaya yung gobyerno natin binibigyan na rin talaga ng pansin yan at pinapalaki pa. And maganda naman ang epekto niyan sa atin. The next, automobile, Richard Blazer 1901, first automobile in the Philippines owned by Juan Miciano, brought from France to the Philippines by La Estrella del Norte. Then yun nga, yung automobile na to, ito yung mga sasakyan na pang private lang at hindi yung mga pampasada, pero ito yung kagandahan, kaso nga ito yung kagandahan ng meron kang automobile, kasi kahit saan ka pumunta pwede ka, and ang kaso nga lang is yung sa sobrang dami na rin talaga nung meron sa ating ganyan is nagko-cause na rin talaga ng traffic, and hindi na natin makontrol. Kahit man merong coding, hindi pa rin naman sapat, kasi yung iba sobrang dami rin talaga ng mga sasakyan nila. And sabi dito, 1940s, about 50,000 automobile in the country, ranges from the price 2,000 to 10,000 lang. Yung 2,000 to 10,000 lang ngayon, siguro ang value na niyan ngayon, nasa half million na. I mean, yung sasakyan na yun, nasa half million na, and minsan nasa million pa nga eh. Pero kaya naman kasi nagmahal yung mga automobile natin, kasi nga dahil din sa convenience siya, and yun nga, meron na rin kasi tayong mga expressway na pwedeng daanan natin, hindi katulad nga dati yung mga ferryboat lang yung sinasakyan. Ngayon meron na yan, mas mabilis na tayo at mas nakakagalaw tayo ng maayos, and mas komportable tayo, and yun nga, kasi nga pampamili rin. Bus, dito naman sa bus, syempre compare talaga tayo dito sa bus. Ang pinagkaiba lang nito doon sa jeepney is mas malaki ito, at yung may tatlo kasi itong type ng bus ngayon, yung minibus, yung ordinary bus lang, yung malaki nga pero walang aircon like that, yung nakabukas na yung mga bintana, at meron tayong mga di aircon na. Example ito yung sa Genesis, yan meron tayo dyan, Bataan Transit, meron din tayo dyan. And yun, dati sobrang konti lang nang nag-ooperate at yung mga ruta ng buses natin, kasi nga hindi pa siya kilala. And sabi dito, July 1, 1914, Albert Louis Amen and Max Blaus established a small po yan, transportation company in Iriga and Camarines Sur. So yun, first established nila is from Iriga and Camarines Sur. Then the first route was Iriga to Naga. So kung iisipin natin, napakalayo na narating natin, kasi sobrang dami na rin ng established na transportation company ngayon. Halos province meron tayo niyan, kaya connect na rin talaga. Kaya maganda na rin talaga yung natin. Ang kaso lang dito is yung mga driver din kasi natin talaga hindi talaga disiplinado rin talaga, dahil sobrang bilis talaga magpatingin yung mga yan. Pero yun nga, sabi pa dito, open in the terms of Camarines Sur and Camarines Sur to Norte and Albay and Sorsogon. So yun lang talaga yung dating mga ruta nila. Pero ngayon, buong bansa meron talaga ruta. The next, light railway transit. Dito naman, sabi dito, ito yung isa sa mga napatayo ng presidency ng Marcos dati. Sabi dito, July 12, 1980, President Marcos signed Executive Order number 603 creating the LRTA. So bitatlo tayo, LRTA 1, LRT1, LRT2, and MRT3. So yan, ang kagandahan naman nitong light railway transit is kay-elevate ito, hindi siya naapektuhan talaga ng mga baha, and maganda siya kung mabibilis lang din talaga yung mga light railway transit natin, katulad ng mga nasa ibang bansa, at sana mas marami yung station nito para talaga ma-accommodate talaga yung mga passenger natin, at kaya din talaga yung iba na mag-transit na lang kaysa magbiyahe ng pansarili nila o yung pansarili nila sasakyan. Kasi kung maganda ito, lalo na sa ibang bansa, alam niyo na safe din kasi dito eh. Hindi siya prone sa aksidente, lalo na yung sa mga banggaan, yung mga ganun. And yan, maganda rin talaga ito kung pag-iigihan talaga ng gobyerno natin na pondohan yung light railway transit natin. Magandang ito pa mangyayari sa Pilipinas. And next, we have tricycle. Ito sa tricycle sa Bataan, sobrang kilala na natin. Ang pinagkaiba lang ng ibang mga tricycle doon is color coding. Sa atin kasi walang kulay, pero may mga plaka, katulad din naman ito, may mga plaka. Ang kaso nga lang, ang tawag doon, yung atin kasi is meron namang mga ah, parang mga station din kung saan lang pwede sila sakyan yun. Pero meron din naman gumagala pero mas maganda kasi dun sa may mga station din. Then sabi dito yung sa Manila kasi bawal din talaga bawal din talaga kasi yung pagpapatakbo ng mga tricycle sa mga highway at nililimitahan talaga sila dun. Yung tricycle nag-a-accommodate ng mga 3 passenger lang pero 'pag umabot kasi sa 4 na rin kahit hindi pa may maliit siya na ano dun sa sidecar, hindi na rin talaga ina-allow yun. Sinasabi na nila na overloading na yun. Next. Ito pedicab kaibahan lang sa tricycle is yung hindi siya ginagamitan ng mga gas at human powered ito. And ang ano lang talaga dito, ang limitation lang kasi nito is pang-malapitan lang siya. And ayun, sabi dito, padjak ang tawag sa kanya or tricycle made up of bicycle attached to the sidecar that can accommodate 2 to 3 people. So yan. And new mode of transportation. Dito, meron tayong tatlo, land transportation, water transportation, air transportation. Hindi na natin isasama anong tawag dun, yung mga na-discuss ko kanina kasi hanggang ngayon naman din yung iba is nasa new way of new mode of transportation din, eh. So idagdag na lang natin yung mga bagong nauso. Habal-habal, kahit papaano kilala na rin natin siya and ito ay makikita rin sa parte ng Visayas or Mindanao, nandun siya at alam niyo ba na yung habal-habal is can accommodate 6 peoples kaya yung mga turista talaga dito is natatakot pero siyempre na-a-amaze din kasi ang galing din talaga, eh, kasi, ngayon hindi sila nakakita ng single na kayang mag-accommodate ng 6 passenger, akalain niyo yun. The next is angkas. Dito, yung angkas is pinakabago talaga ito sa atin lalo na sa Metro Manila and maganda naman ang epekto nito para sa mga motorista natin kasi nabigyan sila ng trabaho and yun, kahit na hindi nila kayang kahit hindi nila afford yung pambili ng mga pamasahe talaga like yung tricycle, yung may sidecar or jeepney or taxi, yun or bus. Dahil dito sa angkas is nabigyan sila ng trabaho at maganda yun. Tsaka may organization sila para kung sakaling may mangyari sa pasahero is, ah, yun ang yun ang tutulong sa kanila and yan. Isa pa pala dun sa angkas dahil nga rin sa Metro Manila alam natin na traffic, maganda ito kasi nakakasingit-singit din at less hassle sa mga pasahero lalo na kung maaga yung pasok mo, yun puwede kang mag-angkas kasi makakasingit talaga sila sa traffic. Next is bangkas or roro, bangkas and roro. Yung bangkas tinatawag din natin itong bangka and ito naman bangka ang ano nito is for island hopping lang talaga ito, hindi naman talaga ito pang-pasahero rin. Pero siyempre, yung iba nating mangingisda yung mga ano rin, ginagawa na rin nila talaga itong pangmasada. I mean, hindi lang pangmasada, like yung isasakay mo yung mga tao sa papunta sa ibang lugar din. And yun, hindi siya recommended kung malayuan talaga kasi nga sobrang maliliit naman talaga yung bangka natin and, yung alon sobrang lalaki talaga. Yung roro naman, ito naman yung malaki talaga. And dito sinasakay yung mga cargo, yung sasakyan din yun nasasakay dito like yung kotse, yung van, yan gumagano'n. Din yung mga padala ng mga OFW natin dito rin sinasakay yung mga yun. And yan pangmalayuan talaga yan, puwede rin siya sa pang-ibang bansa kung kung may company silang gano'n. The next is the challenges for the Philippine transportation system. And yun, tapos na po ako and ang magdi-discuss naman po nitong challenges for the Philippine transportation system is si Bea Bianca David. And yun, thanks so much.
Good day, I'm David Bianca, and for today, I will be discussing challenges for the Philippine transportation system and also the initiatives of the government and also the private sectors to make the transportation in the Philippines better. So first, here are some of the challenges. First one is traffic congestion. I mean, do I really have to discuss this? I know all of us is very aware how the traffic congestion is here in the Philippines now, especially sa Metro Manila, di ba? I mean, I think lahat naman na tayo nakapunta sa Manila and we also how crazy the traffic is in there, which is, I mean, hindi naman na siya nakakagulat because Metro Manila is the most populated city in the whole world. So expected na talaga na sobrang daming tao doon. So yeah, and magkakaroon talaga or mahihirapan talaga tayo sa pag-aayos ng traffic doon. alam naman natin that even yung mga hindi taga Manila, like for example, taga Bulacan, sa Manila pa talaga nagtatrabaho because Manila nga is the center of the Philippines, which is the reason kung bakit mas maraming opportunities doon. Kaya naman, mas maraming nagtatrabaho doon kahit na, yun nga, mahirap and nakaka-stress ang traffic. So, second is inadequate public transportation. So, many areas lack efficient and reliable public transportation system, leaving residents heavily reliant on private vehicles and contributing to congestions. So, I think kasi yun talaga yung problema natin eh. It's because ang dami-dami na nating mga private nasasakyan, yung talagang sa atin lang. So, imbis na sa public transportation, for example, the jeep could accommodate 20 people. Kapag meron kang sariling car, isa ka lang doon, pero ang laki ng space na nakukuha niya sa road. So, I think, so ayun nga, kaya talagang pinupush na gamitin natin yung mga public transportation natin. Pero ang problema nga kasi yun, it's not efficient and it's not reliable, especially after the pandemic. Alam natin kung gaano na kamahal ang pamasahe ngayon. And, di ba? So, before kasi, what I do when I go to school is mag-jeep ako. And then, syempre, after mag-jeep, magta-tricycle papunta doon sa gusto mong puntahan or sa school, gano'n. Kasi hindi naman directly doon binababa ng jeep doon sa tapat ng school. Siyempre, ibababa ka niya sa terminal. So, that's what's gonna happen. Or bababa ka doon sa tingin mong mas mapapalapit ka. Pwedeng sa highway, ganyan, or sa national road. And then, what you do is sasakay ka ng tricycle. Pero kasi nowadays, parang hindi na siya convenient na sumakay ng tricycle because super mahal na ng pamasahe. Like 30 pesos sa kanto ka lang, di ba? It is very, very expensive na, which is mas makakatipid ka nga naman if you have your own car. Kasi ang gagawin mo lang naman is papagas mo lang yun, which is equivalent na dun sa fare dahil nga super mahal na ng pamasahe. And then, maliban dun, super comfortable ka pa kasi na sarili mo yung sasakyan. So, yeah. So, ayun yung isa lang sa mga reason. Maliban doon, there are also drivers na hindi tumatanggap ng mga sumasakay. A good example of this is me. So, I live kasi near the mountain. Like, I mean, alam ko parang weird, pero yes, doon ako nakatira. So, kami, may sarili kaming service. Pero may time kasi na hindi ako nasusundo ng tatay ko. Reason for that is because busy siya or may ginagawa siya. So, wala akong choice. It's either makikisabay ako sa kapitbahay namin or maglalakad ako. Why? Kasi kahit na parang same lang naman yung layo dahil nga bundok yung amin, pinipili nilang hindi kami isakay or isasakay man nila kami, pero may dagdag yung fare. Like, for example, before, ang fare is like around 20 pesos lang dapat. Pero since na taga-bundok nga ako, ang sinisingil is 100 pesos, which is very expensive. The reason is because wala daw masyadong tao doon sa papunta sa bahay namin. So, hindi sila makakasakay pa uwi. And pangit din daw yung daan. Kaya naman, sinasabi nila na kailangan may dagdag daw, which is so much. Syempre nga naman, kung hindi ka naman talaga may kaya, mahihirapan ka talaga na magbayad ng ganun kalaki. So yun lang yung mga some of the reasons kung bakit nga ba inadequate ang ating public transportation. Next, infrastructure gaps. The country needed significant investment in road network, bridges, airports, and seaport to accommodate growing transportation demands and improve connectivity. A very good example of this is Mariveles and Dinalupihan. We all know that Mariveles and Dinalupihan are in the same districts. But despite of that, hindi ka makakapunta ng Mariveles kung hindi ka iikot. Hindi ka pupunta ng Hermosa, and then Orani, Samal, Balanga, and then yun, pupunta ng Mariveles. Or, dadaan ka naman ng Olongapo, pupunta ng Mariveles. Ganon siya. Or, pwede rin mag-Exitex ka, and then tumurong, and then to Mariveles. Ganon. So, it's so weird. Kasi dapat, di ba, makagawa na ng paraan, or makagawa na ng way para mag-connect na talaga yung dalawang lalawigan na yun because they're in the same district and it's so hard. Like, I know someone who is graduate as psychology, and syempre, alam naman natin that our mental institutions are in Mariveles. So, taga Hermosa siya, hindi siya ganun kadali makapunta ng Mariveles. Doon siya nag-work. So, ang hirap-hirap para sa kanya nun. Kasi, ang dating is, nagiging lugi siya. Sa pamasahe pa lang, talo na siya dun sa kinikita niya. So, it's really hard. So, I wish makagawa sila ng infrastructure that could connect Mariveles and Dinalupihan para talagang maging okay at mas maging connected na talaga ang buong Bataan. So, next is lack of transportation options. Limited options for commuters, especially in rural areas, contributed to transportation challenges and hindered economic development. So yan. Again, Mariveles. So when you go to Mariveles, hindi ka pwedeng mag-jeep. Your only option is you have your private car or magbabas ka. Ayun lang talaga ang options mo. Wala kang ibang options. Even jeep, wala kang makikitang, walang jeep na papunta ng Mariveles. So yun, it's really hard, di ba? Kasi paano nga naman kung hindi ka sanay sa mga bus, 'di ba? Mayroong mga gano'n. May mga nahihirapan talagang sumakay sa mga bus. So, their only option again, kasi mahiluhin sa bus, may mga gano'n kasi nga super naka-ano na, tawag dito, nakasarado yung bus, hindi sila sanay. So, imbes na may choice sila na puwede naman silang mag-jeep, hindi nila magagawa yun kasi nga isa lang talaga ang way is yun, ang public transportation na puwede nilang sakyan is bus. Next, the safety concerns. I mean, kahit saan naman talaga. So, road safety remain a major issue with high accident rates and insufficient enforcement of traffic laws. Hindi man na nakakapagtaka na isa sa challenges ang safety kasi ang dami-dami naman talagang mga irresponsableng drivers at hindi na yan bago. Usually sa mga Pilipino, ang reason nila kung ba't sila nag-helmet is because takot silang mahuli. Not because for their safety. I mean, it's weird and I don't understand why, but that's how they think. They think na kailangan nila mag-helmet kasi ayaw nilang mahuli, ayaw nilang makuhanan ng lisensya, ayaw nilang magkamulta. Yun yung reason nila and not because of their safety. And that is the reason kung bakit ang dami-dami talagang naaaksidente sa mga sasakyan. Next, urbanization. Rapid urbanization led to increased demand for transportation services in urban areas, exacerbating congestion and infrastructure pressures. So, hindi naman ito nakakapagtaka syempre. Like, for example, here in Balanga, nung nagkaroon na ng SM, kasi di ba, I mean, nagkaroon na ng SM, before kasi parang ang takbuhan ng mga taga-Bataan, if they want na mag-SM, it's either SM Pampanga or sa Olongapo. Now, they go here in Balanga. So, mas nararamdaman na talaga natin yung traffic. So, ang nangyayari kapag uwian tsaka papasok sa umaga, super traffic na din. Ang hirap na din talagang magbiyahe. Especially talaga pag uwian as in siksikan, lalo na doon sa may palabas, papuntang National Road, papuntang Orani, super hirap na. So hindi naman na yun nakakapagtaka kasi nga maliban nga sa SM na nag-contribute sa pag-ano ng mga tao, sa pagpunta ng mga tao sa Balanga, yung pag-uwi ng mga estudyante. Ang dami na rin kasi talagang schools here in Balanga na iba't ibang courses and programs ang ino-offer. So hindi naman na rin nakakapagtaka. At the same time, Balanga kasi is the center of Bataan, kaya marami din talagang opportunities here in Balanga. So karamihan sa mga taga Dinalupihan, ganyan, or Hermosa, here pa talaga sa Balanga nag-work and umuuwi nga ng sabay-sabay. Kaya talaga namang nagiging problema ang napakadaming tao. The next is public transport modernization. This is a challenge. The need to modernize the public transportation sector, including the replacement of old and inefficient jeepneys, was a pressing challenge. Talaga namang problema siya, especially for jeepneys, kasi as you can see naman, di ba, ang tagal-tagal na nung sinabi na ibinigay sa kanila na talagang tatanggalin na daw ang mga jeep at magkakaroon na ng jeepney modernization. Pero hindi pa rin nangyayari at hanggang ngayon nakikita natin na nagra-run pa din ang mga jeep natin. Ako naman, hindi ko naman din masisisi kung bakit nahihirapan sila kasi number one, they allow it. And it's hard. I mean, if you are in a position ng isang jeepney driver at magkano lang naman ang kinikita mo, diba? Mahirap din sa'yo yun. Kaya, hindi na nila basta-basta talagang mapapamodernize ang mga jeepneys. Maliban pa doon, hindi rin maganda kasi yung naisip nilang paraan para mapamodernize ito. Diba? Ano ba yung naisip nilang paraan dito? So, ang ginawa nila is, papautangin nila ang isang jeepney driver for around 10 million or 15 million, I'm not really sure to the price, and then babayaran ito for about 10 years, 5 years, or 20 years, depending on the driver, kung anong decide niya or magkano ba yung gusto niyang bayaran buwan-buwan. Syempre nga naman, magkano na lang yung kinikita mo eh. Tapos magbibigay ka pa. Ikaw ba pipiliin mo yun? Of course not. You're not gonna choose that. So, kasi I think what the government should do with this problem is they could offer at least 50% off man lang, hatiin man lang nila, not 100%, kasi, I mean, hindi naman mayaman ng mga jeepney drivers, di ba? At minsan, sa karamihan sa kanila, marami pang pinag-aaral and everything like, and so on and so forth. So, yun. I think instead of expanding to other things, why don't they just fund those jeepney drivers, di ba? Kahit 50% or 25%. I mean, they could do something about it. There are a lot of monies. I mean, nagagamit ka sa confidential fund, so why not use it in there? Nagagamit na sa napakaraming paulit-ulit na nagpapagawa ng daan na hindi naman sira ang daan, ginagawa pa rin. Like, so weird, but yeah, let's move on. Integration of transportation modes. Creating integrated transportation systems that seamlessly connect various modes of transportation, such as buses, trains, and ferries, was essential. It is very essential. Nakikita naman natin kung gano'n din siya ka-effective here in Bataan, na yung pinaka-terminal talaga natin, may nag-bus doon, may jeep, and then may mga tricycle drivers din. So if you were from Dinalupihan and pumunta ka ng Balanga, pagbaba mo ng terminal, may nag-aantay sa yung tricycle. Or if you want to go to Maribeles, may nag-aantay din naman sa yung bus papunta ng Maribeles. So it's really good kasi nandun na lahat. It's a one-stop shop, sabi nga nila. So, nai-integrate, mas napapadali ang transportation natin. The next, infrastructure vulnerability. Vulnerability to natural disasters such as typhoons and earthquakes pose challenges in maintaining and securing transportation infrastructure. I mean, just understandable, talaga namang ganun. Talagang, syempre, may mga natural disasters na hindi naman na talaga natin mapipigilan. Although, most of the infrastructure vulnerability, the reason for that is because tinitipid. Like, you can see here, lalo na kapag sa mga kanto-kanto lang, talagang ginagawa yung daan, wala man lang bakal, nakikita gano'ng katabang yung timpla ng semento, di ba? Kaya naman, konting ulan lang, nagbabaku-baku na yung daan, hindi maayos talaga. Ayun, so hindi kasi inaayos. Kasi ang goal is masira agad para makapaglabas agad ng pondo kapag ipapabago ulit. So hindi talaga siya, the goal is not to make it better. 'Di ba? Kaya talagang, of course, masisira talaga siya kung hindi maayos ang pagkakagawa. Next, rural accessibility. Remote and mountainous areas often lack proper road access, affecting the livelihoods of residents and hindering economic growth. So this is very much common. Na-discuss ko naman na din to na ayun nga, nakatira kami sa mountainous areas and hindi maayos yung daan, kaya talagang ayaw talaga maghatid doon. At the same time, konti lang din yung tao, kaya super hirap sumakay. Unless, of course, you're willing to pay in a higher rate. Which, of course, kung mahirap ka lang, eh, hindi mo naman talaga kakayanin yun. Next, flood-prone areas. Some major roadways and coastal and low-lying areas were prone to flooding during heavy rains and typhoons, disrupting transportation. This is very much common in Samal. So, super hirap, di ba? Sa Samal, alam naman natin that national road, ang daming dumadaan dyan. Diyan dumadaan yung mga jeep, diyan din dumadaan yung mga bus. And pag dumaan ka doon, and then dadaan ka ng Samal, talaga namang super baha. And syempre, kung public transportation ka, like jeep, hindi mo naman pwedeng bilisan kapag ka nasa baha. Kasi mababasa lahat ng pasahero mo, di ba? So yun, kaya nagkukos din talaga siya ng traffic. Then port congestion. So major ports including the Port of Manila face congestion issues affecting the timely movement of goods. So akala ba natin sa land lang may congestion? No. Pati sa mga ports, nagkakaroon din ng congestion. Alam naman natin kung gaano kalalaki yung mga roro, yung mga ferries, especially the roros kasi 'di ba, ang mga dinadala nun is mga cargo. So they're so big, kaya kahit na hindi sila ganoon kadami, unlike the land, eh, mahirap talaga at nagkakaroon ng congestions due to that. Eh, tsaka hindi rin kasi maayos yung pagpapatakbo. Then, land use planning. The need for coordinated land use planning to reduce urban sprawl and promote sustainable transportation option was also a challenge. So, next is government and private sector initiatives to improve the Philippine transportation system. So of course, sa kabila ng mga challenges, may ginagawa din naman talaga yung government at yung private sector to solve those challenges. Yung nga lang, we can't say it is enough as, ayun nga, hanggang ngayon, hinaharap pa rin natin talaga yung mga challenges na yun. But still, of course, we have to at least makita yung ginagawa nila. Huwag natin isipin na wala silang ginagawa kasi meron naman. So, first is the Metro Manila Subway. This ambitious project aims to alleviate traffic congestion in the capital region by constructing an underground railway system. So up until now, under construction pa din siya. But it is a 31.1 kilometer long subway that will connect 17 stations in Metro Manila by 2027. So expected na sa 2027, hopefully talaga, kasi this is gonna be big thing. Talagang maano nito yung maayos nito yung traffic sa Manila kasi nakita nyo naman kung gaano yun kahaba, di ba? And we all know talaga how efficient a subway or even a railway is. Kasi nga, hindi naman talaga, wala siyang way para magka-traffic, di ba? There's no way for it to have a traffic. Yun nga lang, ang nagiging problema lang sa MRT and LRT natin ngayon is that super haba naman ng pila pag gusto mong sumakay and super siksikan. So, syempre, since may subway na tayo, mahahati na yon and hindi na magiging ganun kasiksikan. At the same time, like what I said, magiging mabilis na yung pagbiyahe natin. The next, North Luzon Expressway and next, Harbor Link. This elevated expressway connects the northern province to the port area of Manila, facilitating the movement of goods and reducing truck traffic within the city. So again, this is very much common. I think lahat tayo, if pupunta tayo ng Manila, mag-NLEX. I mean, talagang it's the only way. Kasi as of now, these expressways are not just for the rich. Hindi na talaga siya para lang sa mga mayayaman or para lang sa mga nagmamadali. I think smart move na rin, especially kung may sarili kang car at minsan ka lang naman pupunta ng Manila or like may susunduin lang kayo from abroad, ganyan, or gusto niyo lang maglibot for once, I think it's good na mag-NLEX na kayo or gumamit kayo ng kahit na anong expressway kasi at this rate of traffic in Manila, kapag nag-NLEX ka, yes, of course, pag nag-expressway ka, you have to pay 200 to 300 pesos sa toll gate, but yung amount naman ng gagastos mo once na traffic ka, kapag hindi ka nag-expressway, is just gonna be equivalent to the money that you're gonna pay with the toll gate. So parang equal lang din siya. eh magkano lang din naman. At the same time, naka-save ka pa ng time, naka-save pa ng energy, and of course, na-save mo yung mental health mo. Kasi talaga namang madi-depress, mai-stress, at mararamdaman mo yung mga bagay na ayaw mong maramdaman kapag ka hindi ka nag-expressway, talagang maiirita ka. At hindi mo pipigilang magalit, lalo na kung hindi ka naman patient na tao. Kung hindi mahaba yung pasensya mo, hindi mo talaga kakayanin sa Metro Manila. Like, super lapit lang. Yung JR na biyahe, nagiging 6 hours, 7 hours, or minalas-malas ka pa sa buhay, baka umabot ka ng 10 hours. Next is, of course, if we have NLEX, we have SLEX, South Luzon Expressway Toll Road 4. Access Toll Road 4, also known as the Skyway Extension, extends the elevated toll road southward, easing traffic along the southern corridor. So it's just the same. Yun nga lang, iba siyang route. It's also a expressway. Then other than that, we have Cavite Laguna Expressway, or the CALAX. It's a toll expressway that connects the province of Cavite and Laguna, improving connectivity in the southern part of Luzon. Then next, we have Clark International Airport expansion. Expanding and developing Clark International Airport is part of the effort to decongest Ninoy Aquino International Airport in Manila. So yun nga, kasi alam naman natin that NAIA is our main airport talaga. Doon naman talaga tayo madalas kasi mas marami talaga yung flights doon, especially internationally. Pero ginawa nila, since super traffic sa Manila and super nahihirapan na rin talaga doon sa NAIA, nagkaroon ng Clark International Airport expansion para doon piliin na talaga na, especially kung taga-Bataan ka, mas malapit ka dito mas malapit ka sa Clark. So doon mo na lang piliin, especially kung pupunta ka lang like, some states in America. Alam ko, inopen natin yun meron na siyang mga international flights in some states in America. But yun nga lang, syempre, hindi pa rin ganun kadami as NAIA. Pero there's still. So if i-check mo yun, kung meron naman doon, I highly suggest na doon na lang. Number one, maiiwasan mo na yung traffic kasi sa Manila kapag dito ka, especially if you're from Bataan. Kasi mas mauna mong matadaanan ng Pampanga kasi sa Manila. So, next is bus rapid transit system. So this is very much ginagawa na sa ngayon. BRT systems have been planned for cities like Cebu and Metro Manila to provide efficient public transportation options. So itong system na to is that yung pagkakaroon ng sariling lane ng mga bus. So nakikita talaga natin yan kasi isa sa sinasabi nilang problem kung bakit super traffic sa Manila is yung mga bus because they are so big and they're so long na kumukuha sila ng halos isang buong lane. So sabi, ayun nga daw, and at the same time, since super laki nga nila, kapag nasa likod ka nila, mahihirapan ka kasi mag-overtake para mauna ka na. Diba? Kasi super big na, hindi mo makikita kung baka may kasalubong ka or whatever. At the same time, syempre, ang mga bus, marami ang bus stop, marami ang binababaan. So yun, nagpo-cause din yun ng traffic. So ang isip nilang solusyon is magkaroon ng sariling lane ng mga bus. Which is good naman sa mga bus. Yun, wala nang traffic sa bus lane. Pero pagdating sa pinaka-lane na talaga ng lahat, may traffic pa rin. So I think it lessened, but yeah, it's not enough. LRT and MRT extensions, expansion of the light rail transit and Metro Manila transit system are underway to serve more areas within Metro Manila. So, yun nga, maliban sa pagkakaroon ng subway, iniisip pa rin na i-expand talaga to dahil nga hindi siya enough. And the consider effect, it's really, really good. Yun nga lang, medyo mahal siya. Although, as far as I know, they already purchased some. I'm not really sure though if we're already using it. The next is seaport and airport modernization. Upgrades to various seaports and airports are being carried out to improve logistic and international connectivity. So nagkakaroon na tayo ng expansion because as I said earlier, di ba, meron na tayo talagang problema. Magkakaroon tayo ng mga port congestions. Kaya naman, ang seaport at airport ay talagang minomodernize na. Then next, we have road rehabilitation and widening. This is very much common, like how wide your road you want to be. Like super talagang pawide na ng pawide. Although I think it is good siguro kapag nangyayari yun sa mga national roads, sa mga highways, good siya. Pero pagdating sa mga looban, it is, I don't know if it's really good because if the road is so wide, like, and then all of the sudden, bigla na namang magnanarrow, that could actually cause problem Kasi, like, nasanay ka, super dami na ng sasakyan, like 4 lanes, biglang magto 2 lanes. So, because of that, nagkakaroon talaga or lalo lang lumalala yung traffic. But of course, yun nga, sabi ko nga, pwede naman siya sa mga highways and also sa mga national roads na dinadaanan talaga ng mga bus or jeep, ganyan. The next is modernization of public transport. So yun, ayun nga, although problema siya ngayon, pero ayun talaga yun yung mga iniisip nilang gawin. Although up until now, iniisip pa din since wala pa rin naman talagang nangyayari. But hopefully, di ba, hopefully soon, mag-move forward na tayo because ang dami talagang mga tao na ayaw sa pagbabago. But I think if it's pagbabago for the better, why not embrace it, right? So yeah, next. These are now the initiatives by the private sector. So number one is public transportation systems. The Philippines has extended network of public transportation, including buses, jeepneys, tricycle, and taxis, serving both urban and rural areas. Efforts have been made to modernize and regulate these services for improved safety and efficiency. Next is ride-hailing services. Ride-hailing platforms like Grab and local providers offer convenient transportation options in urban areas, reducing the reliance on traditional taxis. So super ganda kasi nitong Grab kasi sa Grab pwede mo nang ilagay yung pinaka-address mo talaga. Like for example, sa bahay, di ba hindi ka na magdadala mong sakay, hindi ka na magsasakay ng tricycle, and then from that, sasakay ka papunta doon sa terminal, di ba? Hindi na ganoon kasi siya na mismo ang pupunta sa'yo. At the same time, meron din naman tayong mga deliveries ngayon like JNT, ayun. So pag gusto natin mag-shopping, instead of going to the mall, sila nang mag-deliver sa'yo. And alam naman natin na super dami na nilang dala, so marami ng orders doon. So nalilessen yung traffic. And then also, yung pag-deliver din ng food, di ba? Instead of going out, ganyan, syempre lalo na kung sa big family, di ba? Super dami nyo, like ilang cars ang gagamitin nyo. But through deliveries, yung isa na lang talaga yung mag-deliver sa inyo, napaka-konti lang nun. And usually, yung mga nag-deliver na ganyan is nakaka-single lang. So, hindi masyadong kumakain ng space sa daan. Next is bike sharing programs. Some cities have introduced bike sharing programs to promote eco-friendly and efficient mode of transportation, especially in congestion urban areas. So I think sa Manila, nagkaroon na ng bike sharing programs kung saan yung group na to ay sinatawag na mover, hinahayaan nila na mag-rent ng bike for an hour para rent ka a bike for an hour or 2 hours or whatever, and then ibabalik mo rin sa kanila. So yun. Then we have transportation network companies. Like Grab, Angkas provide motorcycle taxi services which offer an alternative means of transportation, particularly in heavy traffic areas. So yun nga, yung Grab tsaka Angkas. Angkas is one of the new way of mode of transportation nowadays. Nauso siya kasi dahil nga sa super traffic na, so yung Angkas kasi single lang, so mas madali siyang makakasingit-singit sa mga traffic. So mas mapabilis yung pag-transfer mo from one place to another. And at the same time, kasi this Angkas actually give work to Filipinos na syempre ang afford lang na magkaroon is single. Syempre alam naman natin that very common na sa isang family na magkaroon ng single, eh hindi rin naman talaga ganoon kamahal ang single ngayon. And syempre pwede ka rin naman kumuha ng hulugan which is not that expensive naman, kaya talagang malaking help ang Angkas, hindi lang sa mga nagbabiyahe, kundi ganoon na rin sa mga Pilipino na gustong kumita. The next is carpooling and ride sharing. This is very much in use na din nowadays, and it's very good kasi at the same time na nababawasan yung yung mga sasakyan sa daan, eh nababawasan as a commuter, nababawasan din yung babayaran mo. Kasi nga naman, imbes na babayaran mo yung buo, eh maghahati kayo kung sino man yung kasabay mo. The next is traffic management and information systems. The government has invented in traffic management system and apps that provide real-time traffic updates, helping commuters make informed travel decisions. A very good example of this is Waze. So sa Waze, ilalagay mo doon kung saan ka pupunta and bibigyan ka niya ng iba't ibang route kung saan ka pwede. And nakalagay din doon kung gaano ba ka-traffic doon. So, syempre nga naman, if with that, pwede kang makapili, di ba? Kung saan ka pwedeng pumunta at hindi ka biglang may stuck na lang sa traffic kasi mahirap yun, yung maiipit ka sa traffic nang hindi mo alam. Baka umabot ka na talaga ng madaling araw, kaka-drive. Syempre kung may work or may pasok ka pa the next day, so mahihirapan ka talaga. So, it's really very good. So next is integrated ticketing and payment system. Effort have been made to implement integrated payment system that allows passenger to use a single card or app for multiple modes of transportation, making it more convenient to switch between different services. So isa na sa mga inano ng mga private sectors is yung Paymaya at saka GCash. So I think nangyari ito due to the pandemic. Alam naman natin that you could pass the virus due to sa pera, gamit ang pera. So yun, kaya talagang nag-ano sila sa mga cards. And at the same time, yung integrated ticketing naman, mas maganda daw yun para mas madaling matikitan yung mga irresponsible drivers and maging free na ang roads natin through irresponsible drivers. The next is transportation planning and policy reforms. Comprehensive transportation planning and policy reforms are essential for addressing long-term issues. This includes route optimization, congestion pricing, and regulatory changes. So next is emergency response and assistance services. So syempre, hindi naman natin maiiwasan ang pagkakaroon ng emergency talaga sa daan, ganon. So yun, meron tayong mga emergency response para talagang matulungan agad kapag nagkaroon ng aksidente. Then, road safety campaigns. Public awareness campaign promote road safety and responsible driving behavior to reduce accident and improve overall transportation safety. Yun. And then, infrastructure maintenance and rehabilitation. Regular maintenance and rehabilitation of roads, bridges, and public transportation infrastructure are critical to ensure safe and efficient travel. So of course, syempre, sa super traffic natin ngayon is yung mga bridge natin, kailangan lagi-lagi talagang chine-check yan. Lalo na yung bridge papunta sa Layak, di ba, super grabe talaga yung ano dun, yung bridge dun dahil super traffic dun. So usually talagang punong-puno yung bridge na yun ng mga iba't ibang klaseng sasakyan. Kaya naman dapat lagi siyang chine-check kasi baka hindi natin alam, one time bigla na lang yung masita or ma-crack or whatsoever. So yun, kailangan din talaga natin mini-maintain, and of course, kailangan inaayos din agad if we see something wrong with it. The next is transportation research and development. Investment in research and development helps identify and implement innovative solutions to transportation challenges. So of course, talagang kailangan naman natin ito, research, of course, because research is very good for us to be able to know how what is the problem, how are we going to solve this, and gaano na ba karami ang naaapektuhan ng problemang to. And then I think that would be all. That will be the part of my report and the end of our report. Again, I am Dev David, and thank you all for listening.